Hello and welcome to Azam Sharp Weekly. In this video, I'm going to explain to you the concept behind playground-driven development. Alright, so let's get started. The concept behind playground-driven development is actually pretty simple. We as developers, we want to see immediate results. So if we are writing some code, we will write a test for it, or we will create a small portion or a small subset of that code and execute it to see that if that works or not. But what about when we're building interfaces or building UIs? Well, we have to write the code and then run it in a simulator, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then we go back, change it, and then we run it again. Now, this is obviously going to take a lot more time if you are creating some complex interfaces. So we can use playground-driven development not only for the building the interfaces, but it can be used to obviously check out your algorithms and so much more. But right now we're just going to focus on creating a very simple interface using playground-driven development. So let's get started. I'm going to create a very simple login page, which will consist of the login text field, the password text field, as well as a button, and few labels, maybe like 2 labels. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and import playground support. Playground support consists of some of the properties that we will set up so we can actually see our playground in the live view. Now, let me show you how you can access the live view. It's these 2 circles that you see over here, Assist in Editor. If you click on that, you can see the live view. So this is where we can see our interface, whatever we're building. Right now, you can't really see anything because, well, we haven't really started building anything. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a class. And I can say UI view controller. Obviously, everything we are writing over here, we can actually copy paste it in our actual application and then run it on a simulator. But by writing it inside a playground is going to give us a little bit more better and faster feedback. All right, so let's say that I've created this view controller and I want to now display it. The first thing I'm going to do is create an instance of the view controller. The view controller doesn't really have anything, as you can see. View.background color equals to UI color.white. And then I can go ahead and set it up as a playground page. Playground page.current.liveView equals to view controller.view. I think you can also say view controller and it should just also work. Let's go ahead and run this. And over here in the live screen now you can see our view controller. Isn't that cool that you can actually see your view controller being displayed? If you wanted to have a view controller or your screen or your page with a different background, I can go ahead and change it right here, and then I can go ahead and execute my playground and it will change that. Now that is neon green. I don't really want that, so I'm going to go ahead and revert back to white. That's fine. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to create my user interface. So over here inside the view controller, I can say view.load, super.view.load, and then call a custom function which is setup UI. This is the function which will contain all the code that I will use to create my user interface. So setup UI, and let's get started. So I need to create a username and a password label as well as a button. So 3 things, and they all should be stacked vertically. So what kind of a control can I use? Well, I can use any control I want, but I think there's already a control that will help me, and that is called the stack view. So let's go ahead and create a stack view over here. Stack view equals to UI stack view, and the initializer for the stack view, or at least one of the initializers, takes in UI views. I don't really have any control right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a label. So username label. Username label, which is simply going to be a UI label. And then username label dot text equals to username. You can actually create this any text that you want. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and add that label into this array. So this will be a username label. Fine. Because the whole point of playground-driven development is that you quickly see the result. All right. So I've created the stack view. I'm going to go ahead and add that stack view to my view. So self.view.add subview, and I'm going to add the stack view. If I go ahead and run the application right now, you'll see that I don't really see anything. And the reason I don't really see anything is that the stack view doesn't really know where to display the stuff, the data, or where to be displayed on the screen. This means that we have to set up some constraints. So let's go ahead and do that. Stack view dot translates to false. We're going to put our own constraints to it. So stack view dot center x anchor, meaning the where would we place the stack view, equal to the self dot center self dot view dot center x anchor. And don't forget to call is active equals to true, or else your constraint will never be activated. Let's go ahead and do the y-axis also. So center of y anchor dot constraints equals to self dot view dot center of y anchor, and is active equals to true. If you go ahead and run this right now, you'll see the stack view is being displayed, and it only has one item, which is in this case is username. Great. So username is definitely getting displayed. Now let's move to the actual text field, which should come underneath over here. So we'll go ahead and begin with creating our text field. Let username text field equals to UI text field. And we will say the rounded corner, so the bordered style for the text field. So username, user text field, bordered style, we can set it up to rounded rectangle. And the text field should be the second one in the stack view. So I'm going to pass it as a second argument. Well, the second item of the array, basically. And let's go ahead and run this again. Okay, we can see the text field, but instead of going down over here, you can see the text field is actually coming on the side, which means the stack view is stacking everything in a row fashion. We want the access to be flowing in a column fashion or vertical. Well, that's not a big deal, because we can simply go over to stack view and we can say stack view dot access, and instead of horizontal, we can set it to vertical. Go ahead and run this again now. And we should be seeing username with a particular text field. Now the text field size is the same size of the stack view. In other words, the stack view is taking the size of the content, and the content, we can change that actually. So let's go ahead and change that. We can give stack view dot some sort of a width anchor dot constraint equal to some sort of a length. In this case, it's let's say 200 points, and true. Let's go ahead and run it again. And this time you can see the stack view is a little bit much bigger, and the text field is also much bigger. We can also put the stack view distribution of the items to be equally or a different kind of distribution. So let's go ahead and check this out. So we can say distribution, and we have a couple of options: equals centering, equals spacing. If we say equals spacing, if we run this again, we'll have a little bit of a, well, there's not much item for equal spacing right now, but we can say fill equally, not proportionally. Fill equally, and let's go. So this means that each of the items in the stack view is going to take up equal amount of space. Looking actually nice over here. Let's go ahead and add the password label. Over here we can say password label, which is a UI label. And then we will have a password label dot text, and which will say password. And since it's a stack view, I can simply pass in the password label right over here. Let's go ahead and run this so that we can see the password label now. All right, we can see the password label. That's great. Now we need to get the password text field. Now this will be exactly the same as the username text field, so I'm just going to pass it around over here or paste it, and you can see that this is our password text field. Don't forget to pass it to the arrange sub views. So let's go ahead and say password text field. And finally, we need to create a button. So let's go ahead and create the final button, login button, and UI button. It will be a rounded rectangle, so I can say rounded rec. And then finally, I can set some sort of a title for the button. Set title, and I can say, I guess, login is fine for the normal state. Don't forget to add the button also. So let's just call it login button and add it into our stack view. And we can just run this now. That's great. So we were able to create a very simple interface by using stack view. Now, would it have taken the same amount of time or more time if you were creating or running it in a simulator? Most probably yes, because whenever you try to add these constraints, you have to run the app and see that what it looks like. And every time you run, the simulator is going to take a little bit of time to run. You can create your whole interface over here or at least normal kind of interfaces. It can be complex also, but right over here you can create it in the playground. And now you can see that it's working. It displays nice. I mean, you can change the font and anything like that if you want. And I mean, I can go over here into my username label. And if I don't like the font, I can simply change it. So username label dot font, and I can change the font to something else. Font, and then pass in a particular name and pass in the particular size. Now, I don't really have to compile or anything. I'm just going to go ahead and run the playgrounds again. And I can see that what the font looks like. It looks actually pretty good. So I like it. I'm going to change it for the password also. So let's go ahead and change that over here for the password label also. Password label. There we go. And now let's see how the password actually looks like. And it looks great. So playground-driven development allows you to create your interface in the playground or write any kind of code in the playground. It doesn't really have to be only the interface. I mean, usually when I'm building something and I want to check out the algorithm, I would simply extract out a small piece of algorithm and then implement it on some dummy data in a playground. When I see it working, then I take all of this code and then paste it in the real project. All right. So this was an example of playground development. I would even go as far as by saying that whenever you create your iOS application, like an iOS project, add a playground to the project so that you can actually play in it. You can type some test code and all those kind of things. All right, so it will be really, really, really handy.